Hello everybody, it is the Hebrew Jamaican Coolie back again with another video, and this topic is going to be my children won't be paying bills in my home when they get to the age of working. And I really want to address this issue because this was one of the main issues I had with our black community, the black diaspora community. Like I said before, I don't know if African people do it. So anybody who's African and you live in Africa, or you lived in Africa and then moved to another country, migrated to another country, and you can shed some light about how African parents do what type of things that they do where this is concerned, please feel free to share it with me. But I've always wanted to address this topic for years. For years, I've always wanted to address this topic. And the reason why I've always wanted to address this topic is because I find it very problematic and very destructive to our children when we do things like this. And I know that a lot of black people, they're not going to agree with me. But let me tell you something. It's okay to disagree, but the truth of the matter is this is how I see it as being destructive to our children. Now, this is not about spoiling our children, right? It's definitely not about spoiling our children, because you can still teach children responsibility. You understand? And so let's dive into this. And because I have my points written down on my phone, you're going to see me looking down while I talk about my points right now. All right, so let's get into it. So the reason why I'm not going to make my children pay any bills in my home is because whose home is it anyway? And why is it that the money that they earned should be going to paying my bills? It's my home, my bills. I'm supposed to be taking care of that, not them. It's not their responsibility. I didn't rent this home or buy this home. I didn't put all these responsibilities in the home for them to take care of. It's not their home. They are not obligated to do that, and we should not burden them with that. Right? So I want people to help that make sense to me. Why is it that we as black people are basically placing our burdens on our children? Right? Growing up, I always hated the fact that my mother was always telling me how I needed to pay bills in her home. And I used to tell her all the time, why should I do that? You're the one who last week you wanted to kick me out of the house, right? So why am I paying for a home that isn't mine, or a home that I'm not going to be living in anyway? You understand? Because I should be saving towards taking care of myself, because obviously you're not going to do it for me. Right? We're going to address a lot of issues, where this is concerned, especially in the black community. I don't care about white. I don't care about Asian. I don't care about Latino community. I'm talking about us as black people. Why do we have this fundamental dysfunctional problem where family is concerned? And don't give me this crap about government. Don't give me this crap about government. All right? I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. I made that video, and it's true. The previous generation before us failed us. They failed us. They didn't pass down nothing to us. Not a thing did they pass down to us, which is a tradition of parents over years. We've always, through generations, have passed down things to our children to give them a head start in life, so that they wouldn't have to struggle. All right? So, there are several times I tried to save for my own life to start, but ended up paying for my parents' burden upon me. See what I'm saying? Several times I tried to save for my life, to start my life on my own, but I couldn't because I ended up taking care of my parents' burden. It's not fair. It's not fair to thrust your burden on your children. You take care of your burdens and they take care of theirs. It's not right. We're not supposed to be doing that to them. Anyway, this is an excuse black people make for robbing their children of their rightly earned money and future. I want to teach them responsibility. No, you don't. You don't want to teach them any responsibility. There are several different ways you can teach them responsibility. Here's a couple of ways you can teach black children how to be responsible, right? Let them purchase and pay for their own phone and their own phone plan. You understand? They don't like the phone that you have for them. Just say, hey, that's fine. This is what daddy and mommy can afford. If you don't really like that and thing, you're going to have to get your own phone plan. You understand? Don't kick them off the plan. You don't have to kick them off. You just let them know that you can't afford it. You can't afford any better. You can't afford a super expensive phone. So if they feel like this phone plan is not for them, then encourage them to say, hey, you can get your own phone plan. You can get your own phone and pay for it with your own money. You're working. You can get your own phone. You understand? If you don't want to be on mommy's, daddy's plan anymore, well, okay, this is what it is. This is my plan. This is what I can afford. If you feel like you want something better, you're going to have to pay for it because I can't afford it. I'm sorry. And let them make the choice of getting that for themselves. You understand? And then as black parents, well, just get off my phone plan. Get your own. This is how we have gotten away with talking about how children are sassing us and when they're commonly just expressing certain concerns to us. We have not learned how to love our children properly because we weren't loved properly. Everything we see as a disrespect and a sass, when sometimes they are I'm telling you honestly too, there are times in gymnastics when I'm coaching and children are legitimately asking me questions. And I take it as sass. And then when I think about it, I was like, no man, that sounded like a question to me. It's not even about their delivery. I didn't care about their delivery. I'm like, no man, this legitimately sounds like a concern that the children had. And because of the way that I was grown up to think that children were sassy and all them things there, which is true. When you don't create boundaries with certain children, they're going to step over lines. They're going to say certain things, but because you didn't create that boundary. But with my students, I create a boundary. So they know like certain things they can joke about with me, but certain things is off limits. It's not everything. They are allowed to question and ask me. Many times they ask me, Coach, what is this exercise for? And I have to say to them, well, guess what? Because you're not strong, you have to do this exercise for this muscle group to do this to do this skill on the bars. I explain that to them because I don't take it as sass. Sometimes they really and truly, children will come to me and say this don't make any sense to them. And then I try to break it down as much as I can several times to help them to understand the sense in it. There are some children who they don't care, they don't want to exercise and stuff like that. I don't have that type of argument with them. I say, listen, is either you doing this or you sitting on the bleachers over there because everybody else is doing their exercise. You understand? Because there are children that are generally lazy, that don't want to do their exercises, that don't want to warm up, but they just want to get to all the fun activities. No, that's not how it works. It's either you're with the group or you're sitting outside. You understand? And a lot of parents basically tend to just like be okay with me letting their child know that this is the boundary. You're here to do what you're supposed to do, not what you want to do. Anyway, or you even can make them purchase their own car or the car that you already bought for them. Because I plan, let me tell you something. I plan to get a car for each and every one of my children. Whether it's a busted down old car that I fix up with my skills, or it's a brand new car. I plan to get all my children a car. And they're not buying their own car. I'm not placing that burden on them. But if they choose to do that because they said that the car that I got them wasn't whatever it is, I understand, because I'll just say to them, well, this is all I could afford. I'm sorry that it's not like the most perfect car in the world. But if you feel like you need to get a car that's better than this, then yeah, you're working, you're making money, then go ahead, purchase the car. But daddy can't. I'm sorry, but daddy just don't have it. You understand? See, you express to them. You have to express to them. Say you don't have it, and you don't have to be. You don't have to be like so harsh to them. Yo, well, I don't have it. No. Just express to them. Listen, I gave you the best car I could, and I'm sorry that it didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to be. But this was the best I could do. I'm sorry. Daddy just don't have it. There's 4 of you. I don't make that much money and stuff like that. And they can always argue whatever it is and stuff like that. But point known, Daddy just doesn't have it to give you like that super fancy car that you're looking for. And if he did, he would have probably gotten it for you. Come on, father, speak up. If you had the money, you'd have give them the best car in the world. Because father loves their children. Even the scripture says, what father, when his son asks him for something, will give him a snake? There's no father that does that. Christ said that. Christ says that, if an evil man knows how to give his children good things, how much more so would your Father in heaven give good things to you? So if you are a father and you want to give your children good things, it's okay for you to give them the best if you can afford it. There's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with you wanting to give your children good things. But let's move on. So basically, if another way of teaching them responsibility is that if they get a car, and you can tell them, you can get your own insurance. You understand? Just say, if this insurance don't cover your car and stuff like that they bought, just let them know that, hey, listen, there's a type of insurance that may be for your car, but daddy can't afford it. So if you want your insurance for your car, you want to stay on daddy's plan, daddy mommy plan, that's perfectly fine. You understand? I'm not kicking. You see this whole thing of quietly kicking children off of things because you just wanna get them to. No, that's not how we do stuff. That's not how we do stuff. That's not how you do stuff. And I want to address it because I think it's very important. This is going to be a 2 to 3 part series. You understand? Because I got to go to work soon. But I just wanted to address a couple of stuff before I even get to part 2. All right. I just presented to you a couple of ways you can teach them to have responsibility without laying your burden upon them. Without saying, oh, well, you're working now, so I'm going to take out light, water, cable, and internet. First and foremost, when did they buy internet? When did they buy groceries? Just because they eat your groceries? Aren't they your children? Aren't they supposed to be the beneficiaries of your wealth? You can basically tell them that, all the things that they've always wanted to buy that we couldn't afford, they could start using their money to do that. But you must advise them and say, well, I would suggest that you try to save your money and get something super serious. I'm being honest with you. Living under my parents' home, one of the main things I saved for was a car. I bought my own car because I know my father wouldn't buy me my car. He may have advised me on what car to buy, but my father never paid for my car. I bought my own car. That was the type of life that I was living because I knew that it was not going to come from him. That car was not going to come from my mother either. So I had to save to buy my own car. And while I was young, any video games that I saw, I knew that they couldn't afford it. So I said, I'm going to save and buy it. And my best friend Paul and I did the same thing. Whenever the Nintendo GameCube, when we knew that it was coming out and we knew the price of the GameCube, I did a lot of odd jobs, and I did a lot of, because I was working down my father's garage at the time. I basically saved for that. I basically starved myself and did a lot of like things that customers would give me tips for. I would buff their lenses after I done fix the alternator and the starter and whatever it is. And when I done install this, I make sure I like vacuum out the car. And you know, I was extreme, and that's where I get my pleasantness from a lot. Where I was extremely pleasant because I know that being pleasant would make a customer be more inclined to give you a little tip. If I didn't get a tip, that's okay. I also did stuff at home where I said, Mom, is there something I can do to get a little bit of extra money? And I looked at my father, I said, Daddy, is there something a little extra I can do? And Daddy would say to me, well, you know, cut the grass round the garage. Do this, paint the garage. And I did stuff like that because I wanted the extra money to save and buy my Nintendo GameCube. And I felt so satisfied as a man. And I was about 19 to 20 years old. 19, I don't remember. 19 to 20 years old when I bought my GameCube, and I called all my friends over and we were playing Super Smash Brothers Melee and bust down the place, and we were so happy playing the whole entire weekend. You know, basically that was not my parents telling me to get that. Like we tend to think our children are dumb. They're not dumb. They can see the type of life that you know, they know their parents are trying, and they know that there are certain things that they want, that they're going to have to take the initiative, go out there and get it. So do not play. You don't have the right to do what a lot of black parents are doing to their children. And even in my next video, I'm going to address this whole thing of kicking children out of the nest before they're ready. Even if you don't have this little fighting thing with them, kicking them out of the nest before they're ready, and making them end up in poverty. Alright, so I just showed you guys a couple of ways that you can teach your children to be responsible by advising them how to use the money that they're worth. It's their money. It don't belong to us. It's not our bodies working for that money. We don't have any friggin' right to that. It's time we wake up and stop this foolishness of the ill treatment of our people and our generation, our descendants. It's time we stop it. You understand? Why do you think grandparents always do this thing for grandchildren when you're like, no? It's because they know they ill-treated you. And they know that you're going to pass that down to your children. That's why your grandparents always giving you money, always giving you this, always giving you that, because they did it to their own children. They treated them very poorly. And they see what you're doing and they're like, wow, oh my goodness, they passed down something bad. And now they're trying to rectify what they've done wrong. Alright, so their money was not made to pay any of my bills. My bills are my responsibility. My home is my responsibility till the day I pass away. Until the day their mother pass away. If they decide that they want to assist, and we're going to, Ashley and I have agreed, my wife and I have agreed, that we're going to vehemently tell them no. We're going to vehemently help them with, you know, buying their couches, buying this, buying that. They don't owe us anything. And should life take them by the balls or by the clit and ragtag them all over the place and them end up losing everything, you can always come back and live with mommy and daddy. There's not no forever thing of forever being out of my house. There's no forever thing of being out of my house. You understand? Their money was not made to pay any of my bills, and I absolutely refuse to let them do that if I can help it. I also plan This is my plan for my children. I plan that within the next 20 years, I'm going to have a business to pass down to them with their shares inside the business. That's my plan for my children. My wife and I, we talk about every time the trust fund that we're building for them as well. We talk about how we can split it up for them, and that they're not getting it until they're married. So we're paying into it for years, and then maybe we can encourage them too. When they get of age, explain what the trust fund is, and explain when they get it. Explain to them and say, hey, this is what you're getting at the age when you get married. Encourage them to marry early. You know, we're not dealing with no whole 30 odd year old marrying no 30 odd year. No, none of my children, neither my daughter nor my son, that got married old like how I got married old. Because I've been searching from I was young for a woman. And then they're gonna be taught all the skills they need, like working on cars, plumbing, electrical, things like that, gymnastics, karate, those main things that I've gone through and I took myself through. I'm gonna teach it to them and then let them choose their own path. Right? But that's not the topic for right now. Their money was made to sustain them and for their pleasures alone. That money, like I said before, that money don't belong to us. It doesn't. We don't have any claim on that, black people. We don't have any claim on another person's money. Just because they are our seed doesn't mean that their money belongs. It does not. And we need to stop. We need to stop this generational curse of poverty. That's how we cause them. You see, all right, let me finish this. I want to finish this, because before I get into my rant. Too many black families have done this, especially single mothers who turned their sons into son husbands and robbed and bankrupt their life before they properly get the chance to save and start it on their own. And this is what a lot of black women are dealing with. They are dealing with men who are taking care of mother or father or a household that they didn't build, and then expected to take care of the mother's lifestyle while going off and starting their own families. So now you're taking care of two families, a family that you're not supposed to be taking care of, and now you have to take care of a family that you're starting. That isn't right. It's not right. You understand? We can talk about close-knit family, and that's a difference. Right? But you see the issue that I'm addressing right now with the single mothers and them friggin' son husbands. Alright? There's a reason why you are told in the scriptures to leave the home of your parents and cleave to your wife and become one flesh with her. Your mother is not your wife. She's supposed to be your father's wife. But she didn't require that of him, and you're the only thing that of resemblance to him. So she either mistreats you because of him, and because his image, because you look like your father, she gonna mistreat you because you look like him. I've had that problem with my mother because of what my father have done. Alright, and we're gonna get into that too. Right? She's supposed to be your father's wife, but she didn't require that of him, and you're the only thing of resemblance to him. So she either mistreats you because of his image in you, or she makes you do what he should have done for her. And because of that, there's no money in the pot for that man to practically show a black mate, a black woman, that she is safely provided for. And no woman shouldn't marry any man that she doesn't feel safely provided for. If he is asking for her to be a stay-at-home mother. So basically what I'm saying is this. If a black woman can't see that enough money is being made for her to be able to stay home and take care of the home and cook and clean the home and take care of the children, she's not supposed to be marrying you. I am not allowing my daughter and basically the trust fund that we've built for her to go into the hand of a careless man, a man that don't take care, that can't even show me her father, who basically struggled to make that life for her, to make that trust fund for her, to give her that head start. I don't want a careless man take that money and squander that. That's why my wife and I said that the boys have to bring their women here, and my daughter has to bring the man here. If him can't take him ass here, come meet me so me can see exactly who he is. She's not dating him, and she now marry him. Fully cut that off. You understand? Me fully will cut that off. That relationship then now work. And if she runs away with him, if she elopes with him, she's no longer under my covering. So she doesn't get what she's supposed to get because she's not under my covering. When she's under my covering and I approve of that man, then she gets her trust fund. But any choice she makes outside of my household and decides that she want to rebel and go against that, you don't get rewarded for rebelling against me. I don't do that. I don't reward rebellion. The Most High doesn't reward rebellion, so I don't see why his people should do that. And that's our problem. We've been rewarding rebellion in our society. All right, so too many fathers and mothers use this lame ass excuse to kick unprepared birds out of the nest, claiming that they are 17 now, that they're adults, that they're bigs, that should be able to take care of themselves. So they should be out of my house, living on their own, without properly preparing them for the waters they are going to struggle and tread. And we're going to end it right there. That's how we're going to end it. Right? Too many venom and toxicity in our culture. We pretend like, oh, this is normal, this is okay. And no, if our son rise up and buck him chest, you bust him down, you beat his ass up. You beat his ass down, you let him know that there's only one main man in this house, and it's me. If he does that, you teach him that. You teach him that there's a hierarchy in the house, and that's not his. That he should go and make his own hierarchy and rule over that. But he cannot come and take your kingdom unless you pass away and give it to him. But you should be encouraging, say, hey, go and make your own kingdom. You don't, listen, I do agree. My house, my rules. If you don't want to live by my rules, then you are okay to leave. I'm not going to kick you out. I'm not kicking my children out. Why? For what? For what? So they can go out there and end up in poverty for a world that they're not prepared for, even though I'm trying my best to prepare them for it. So this is going to be the end of part 1, and my conclusion is basically, this is something that I've always wanted to address. This is a problem in our community. This is something that we don't talk about, how, we as children of the generation before us grew up with so many venom and very cruel ideas of how to treat our children. And then we turn around and see other nations, how they treat their children. And even when you read in scriptures, how you're supposed to actually, live with your children until they get married. So your children aren't supposed to even leave your house until they get married. Did you know that? You're responsible as a father for your daughter until she get married. So my daughter, all my children have to be saving. Because that's what I did my entire life. I saved money. This is how I have survived. Even when I met my wife, I had $5,000 in savings. And my wife has developed a lot of my traits in terms of saving, even better than me now. Even better than me. My wife is better than me at saving money now. And everybody used to say, yo, Kerr, how you save money so good? Because I used to cut corners everywhere in my life and save $1 or $2 or $3 or $50 here and there. And my wife has done that better than me. She has learned from me and done that better than me. And I'm glad, like my wife makes me so proud so many times that she's taken up so many of my traits. That's why it says the two shall become one flesh. Because there are so many traits too I take up of my wife. Not cookie though. I can't cook to save my life. I can cook eggs real good. She says that all the time, but I can't cook to save. I can only cook survival food. I can't cook for nobody. But anyway, this is a Hebrew Jamaican Coolie, and I'll catch you in another video. I hope you like this video. If you liked it, comment, rate, subscribe, and also don't forget to share the video. Enough love and respect, people. Shalom. I am out until part 2.